Welcome back to the Temple Disputes or the Temple Debates. We're going to look today at the third debate that Jesus has, and it's one of the most misunderstood debates that Jesus has. Today, we're going to dive deep looking at whether Jesus says you should pay taxes or not.
Breaking chains, burning ships, drowning in grace. This is Three Nails X. Breaking chains, burning ships.
So today we're looking at this third temple debate. And it's in Mark 12, verses 13 through 17. It's a short passage today, but it is what we are looking at, and so let's get started. Starting chapter 12, verse 13 in Mark. Later, the leaders sent some Pharisees and supporters of Herod to trap Jesus into saying something for which he could be arrested. Teacher, they said, we know how honest you are. You are impartial and don't play favorites. You teach the way of God truthfully. Now tell us, is it right to pay taxes to Caesar or not? Should we pay them or shouldn't we? Some very important things here. Who is asking this question? Some Pharisees and supporters of Herod. Now this becomes the key. Some translations say Herodians. Herodians are religious leaders who also just support Herod. And why do they ask him? They're trying to trap him. So how does Jesus get out of this? Jesus, he sees through their hypocrisy and he said, why are you trying to trap me? Show me a Roman coin and I'll tell you. When they handed it to him, he asked whose picture and title are stamped on it. Caesar's, they replied. Well then, Jesus said, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to God. And they... Oh, sorry. His reply completely amazed them. So, this dispute 3, we've got to point out a few things right off the bat. We have Herodians and Pharisees, right? Now notice how they started. They started with flattery. Just think back here, right? They're starting with flattery here. They said, we know you are honest. You are impartial and don't play favorites. Teach us the way of God truthfully. What they're doing here is that common phrase that at least my parents always said. They're buttering him up. They're trying to get him comfortable, have him let down his guard. And right then, that should already be communicating, hold up, Jesus, be careful. These guys are trying to trap you. They're saying nice things about you now? Since when are the Pharisees ever saying nice things about Jesus? And so obviously, this is a trap, and Jesus catches on. He doesn't let the kind words that they're saying, he doesn't let this distract him. He doesn't let it distract him. Sometimes I think we're too quick to take compliments from people that we let down our guard, and then we end up just saying something when we really should have been careful. But anyway, so the whole point is to trap them, and they start with flattery, okay? And then they ask this question. Is it right to pay taxes or not? Now think about Jesus's two choices here. Is it right to pay taxes or not? Yes, pay taxes. No, don't pay taxes. He's kind of left in this yes or no question. But to answer either way would be, well, it'd be a trap. This is a trap. Okay? And think about how this is a trap for a second. Jesus is on the Temple Mount. His audience would be both kind of Roman soldiers. Rome would be around keeping an eye on things because every uprising usually starts in the temple. So you'd kind of have some people up there. Now, also around the Temple Mount is not just Romans. Who's there to worship? Jews are. So think about it for a second. If Jesus said, yeah, you pay taxes to Rome, the Jews would be very angry. right? The people would be very angry. The people would be so angry. The Jewish people. Because do they want to pay taxes? No, taxation was heavy at this time. You wouldn't want to pay taxes to people who are mistreating you. Now, if he said, don't pay taxes, Rome would have a real problem with that. Rome would think he's a revolutionary. And this is key because if you remember the lessons on Jesus' last week, one of the things that we talked about was how a Jewish leader, would have a campaign for 3.5 years and then ride into Jerusalem, clean the temple, and set up their throne. Rome knew this process, and so they would be keeping an eye on Jesus because he rode into Jerusalem. All the people are out there cheering him on. He rolls up to the temple, looks at it, and leaves. Anticlimactic. The triumphant entry, if you remember. Then Jesus goes in the next day and he clears out the temple. Now, Romans would be sitting there going, wait a minute, he rode in, he didn't clear out the temple, but now he did. Oh no, is this guy revolutionary? And so when this question comes up, if Jesus said, do not pay, Rome would most likely kill him because they would see him as a revolutionary leader who's going to set up his throne and overthrow the government. Or at least try to. But this is where Jesus has a strength. Does Jesus say, yes, pay taxes? He doesn't. Does he say, no, don't pay taxes? He actually doesn't say that either. You see, Jesus is very smart here, and he uses ambiguity. What does he say? He asks them to bring a coin, which is kind of hypocrisy. They're not really supposed to have Roman coins on the Temple Mount anyway. So there's kind of some hypocrisy there. But anyway, another story for another time. But he tells them to show him a coin, and he holds up the coin and he says, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, give to God what is God's. So, if a Roman, like think about it, there's two different groups here. There's the Roman supporters, okay, and there's Jews. If you said to a Roman supporter, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, what do they think Caesar should get? Well, they would say everything. He's God. Caesar is God, so give him what he deserves. This is what a Roman citizen, a Roman soldier would end up hearing when Jesus says, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, because he deserves everything. Now, a Jew, if you said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, what does a Jew think Caesar deserves? He doesn't deserve money. He doesn't deserve taxes. He actually deserves death because he overthrew us. Like he's holding us in captivity. And so they would see Caesar as an illegitimate ruler and claim that he deserves nothing. They would say Caesar is not God, so he gets nothing. Where a Roman supporter believes Caesar is God. They would often say they're sons of God. You can look into that. The different Roman rulers, Julius's son becomes known as the Son of God. Very fun history there. But what you really have here is Jesus using something ambiguous. He's kind of setting, Jesus has told the truth. Give to Caesar what is Caesar's, give to God what is God's. People deserve what they deserve based on who they are, what they've done, right? If I bring peace to the world, I should probably get the Nobel Peace Prize, right? Like, people should get what they deserve. If I kill a bunch of people, then probably should get punishment for that. I should get what I deserve. I should be locked up, right? So give people what they deserve, whether it be honor, give them honor, right? This is what Jesus is getting at, which is 100% true. Give honor to people. Give people what they deserve. But here's the very clever thing. Jesus is not saying what each person deserves. He's not saying to pay taxes. He's not saying to not pay taxes. He's saying one line, give to Caesar what's Caesar's, give to God what's God's. A true statement. But the two different groups are hearing two different things. So when it comes to the third way of debating like Jesus, be ambiguous. Now, this is not a way to lie or get out of things. Jesus didn't lie. He told the truth. 100% told the truth. But the way he says it, he gives truth, but not in a way that makes it he can be trapped. I will always remember a student asked me one time, because I tend to have people try to come up with a situation where you need to be ambiguous. And a student asked me, they go, Mr. Wilson, okay, what's your question? They go, you have to date two people that add up to your age. What ages do you date? Okay, first off, I should not answer that question, because think about it. If I'm 30 years old, what ages do I date? Yeah, do the math. I got to date two people. Do I date a 25-year-old and a 5-year-old? That's ew, right? The student's asking a question that should not be answered. There's no way for me to answer that. I shouldn't answer the question. Now, if I had to, maybe I need to come up with an ambiguous answer that answers the question but doesn't really answer the question. I should only date my wife. That's the only person I date. It's a true statement. Doesn't really answer the question, so it doesn't fully fit what Jesus did here, but it's just a clever way that we just have to be ambiguous. I'll give you one other scenario, and you can take it how you want, but imagine you're in a room where there's two opposite sides of the view on, let's say, gun control, right? Whether guns should be accessible or not. Imagine you're in a room where you'd be killed either way you answer, and someone asks you, as you're front and on the stage, they say, what's your view? Should people be allowed to have guns, or should we remove them all? If you're gonna die, whether you answer one way or another, which is what would happen to Jesus in this scenario. If he said pay taxes, he'd most likely be killed. If he said don't pay taxes, Rome would kill him. So he's in kind of a life and death situation. So if you were in the scenario where someone said, what's your view on gun control? How would you answer that? Being ambiguous. What if it was a question like, I believe all people should have rights to life and freedom? One side might hear, oh, life and freedom, we should not have guns then. Where the other side might hear, life and freedom, oh, we should have guns, we protect ourselves. You see, being ambiguous is a difficult thing to do, but Jesus does teach us you can debate like this. And so, the three ways we have learned to debate like Jesus thus far. The first, don't answer a question, ask a question. The second way, tell a story. And the third, be ambiguous, meaning give a true answer, but one that doesn't really answer their question. Because, especially in hostile situations, they might just be looking for a way to trap you. They might be looking for a way to get rid of you. I will see you next time.
This is 3 Nails X. Breaking chains, burning ships, drowning in grace. This is 3 Nails X.